Hello, hello. It is Lynx here, and today I will be reading Broken by Memmers on AO3. It is a Shira and the Princesses of Power fic. It is teen and up audiences. Creator chose not to use archive warnings, and it is very much so lesbian. The relationship is Castradora, because of course it is. And I'm just gonna go over some warnings. So, PTSD, panic attacks, trauma, mind control, recovery, and aftermath. Mentioned Horde Prime. Mentioned Shadow Weaver. If you didn't realize already, this is very lesbian. If you don't like lesbians, leave. And Catra has PTSD. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This is a one shot and it has around 3.5k words. So, let's start. Summary. During a night of stargazing, Adora and Catra have a romantic moment and start getting physical. Things take a turn after Adora touches the back of Catra's neck by accident, triggering a trauma response in her from the time she was chipped by Horde Prime. What's that one look like? It was the middle of night on Etheria. Adora and Catra were laying down on the grass in Bright Moon's terrace, staring up into the sky and gazing at the stars. It had been a week since Horde Prime had fallen. Adora and Catra had been taking things easy for now, going one day at a time. Adora had told Catra what Bo's dads taught herself, Bo, and Glimmer about constellations, and they were now trying to see what kinds of different shapes, objects, and figures they could spot amongst the stars in the night sky. Cat just grinned under her eyes, staring at the formation of stars that Adora was pointing towards. It kind of looks like a tank, to me at least. Really? Adora wondered. I thought it was a hot dog. A hot what now? It's basically a sausage stuck between two pieces of bread, Adora explained. They're so good. Gotcha. Catra nodded, seeming a little skeptical. What about... Adora took a while trying to pick out another constellation before eventually pointing out that one. Easy, that's a Force Captain badge, Catcher claimed confidently. What? Adora raised an eyebrow. Come on, that's totally a cupcake, Catra. You kidding me? It's got the Horde symbol on it and everything, Catra said. Does it? Adora took another look at the constellation, staring at it intensely. I guess I can kinda see it if I squint. Told ya. Okay, how about that one? Which one? It's one slightly to the right. Adora tilted Catra's head ever so slightly to the correct direction and pointed that one. Not really making out much of anything. Wait. Catra's pupils dilated slightly. That's a bot. Took me a second. A bot? Adora looked perplexed. Yeah, with its legs retracted. Looks like a watermelon to me. I'm beginning to notice a theme here, Catra snarked. Wanting to make sure, she picked out a specific set of stars and asked Adora, what about that one? Oh! A light bulb turned on in Adora's head. She excitedly asked Catra, that's a ration bar, right? Correct, Catra replied, which also confirms my theory. What theory? That you've always got food on your mind. What? Adora's voice cracked, sounding mildly offended. I do not. I've got plenty of other things on my mind, too. Well, there's one way to prove it, Adora. Catra smirked. Pick out something that isn't food. I'm gonna. Adora pouted, then tried to pick out another constellation from the night sky. That one? No, that's food. Aha, that one. Wait, no, that's also food. She kept going for a while, trying to pick out a suitable formation of stars until eventually she found one. Hey, that one. Hmm? Catcher looked towards the constellation Adora was pointing at. The large pincers, the long tail with the stinger at the end, the goofy smile. Hey, that's Scorpia! Right? Adora grinned before spotting another familiar figure among the stars. A young man wielding a bow and arrow getting ready to fire. And that one? Oh, Arrow Boy, Catra said, then pondered out loud. I wonder if Sparkles is also there somewhere. Probably, Adora chimed, then looked for another constellation. Hey, how about that one? Catra stared intently at the stars Adora was gesturing towards. She managed to make out an all too familiar mask that sent shivers down her spine and made her physically recoil. As those empty eyes stared back at her, Catra could hear the faintest voice whispering in her head, You're welcome. Ugh, Catra hissed. What's wrong? Adora asked, giving Catra a slightly concerned look. Shadow Weaver. Adora. Huh? Adora gasped, taking another look at the star formation she had pointed out to Catra earlier. That's her mask, Catra muttered. I'd recognize that thing anywhere. Wait, it is. Oh, shoot, Adora groaned. I'm so sorry. I didn't even see that. What do you think it was then? Catra questioned her. A pizza? Point proven. Adora and Catra stared at the constellation for a while, both of them lost in deep thought. It feels so weird, Adora murmured, that she's actually gone. Yeah, Catra agreed. She was still so torn, unsure how she should feel about the sorceress after everything she had done to her, the way she had treated Catra her entire life. After a moment of silence, Catra decided to lighten the tone and asked Adora, Hey, do you know what that one looks like? Hmm? Adora tilted her head curiously. That one, Catra pointed, with a very playful grin plastered on her face. Looks like a dorky blonde with a hair poof who thinks she's better than everyone. Oh, yeah? Adora sat up, realizing what Catra was getting at and firing back. Well, that one looks like a scaredy cat who thinks she's way more clever than she actually is. Watch it, princess. Catra also sat up, looking ready to throw hands with Adora at any moment. Don't make me kick your butt. As if you could. Adora and Catra both laughed as Catra lunged at Adora, the two of them playfully wrestling for a while. Eventually, Catra managed to pin Adora on her back on the ground, climbing on top of her. She leaned in as close to Adora's face as possible, purring quietly. I win, Catra whispered. I let you win, Adora replied, with a loving look on her face as she gazed into Catra's blue and yellow eyes. Catra blushed a little. Her heart fluttered and she felt a tingling in her stomach as she inched even closer towards Adora, pressing her lips against Adora's and sharing a soft kiss with her. Okay, Catra smiled, getting off of Adora. You win. Adora sat back up, smiling right back at Catra. She gingerly placed her hands on Catra's cheeks and pressed their foreheads together. I'm so happy that you're here, Adora said, her eyes looking a little watery. After everything we thought through, I'm so happy to have you, Catra. Me too, Catra murmured. It was true. After a lifetime of nothing but pain, anger, and suffering, for the first time Catra genuinely felt happy with her life. The Horde was gone. Shadow Weaver was gone. Horde Prime was gone. Catra had been doing so much work to change and become better, moving past and letting go of her old toxic patterns of behavior. Catra had friends. She had a home. She had Adora. They were together in love. Catra was so happy, and she wasn't going to let anyone or anything take that happiness away from her. You want to get back to stargazing? Adora asked Catra. The stars are pretty and all, Catra remarked, cupping Adora's cheeks. But right now, I want to do something else entirely. Oh? Adora giggled as Catra leaned in once more. Mm-hmm. Catra hummed contently as she shared another kiss with Adora, then another, and another, and another. Oh, wow. Adora's cheeks turned red as she noticed how much Catra was gradually ramping up intensity with every kiss. You're feeling frisky tonight, huh? Shut up, idiot, Catra said before kissing Adora deep. Her tail was swishing around wildly and her purring got louder the more she felt their lips brushing together, the more she felt Adora's tongue making contact with hers. While making out with Catra, before kissing While making out with Catra, Dora placed her left hand on Catra's back and her right hand on the back of Catra's head. Catra's own hands were still placed on Adora's cheeks, which she moved lower to Adora's shoulders. It was so incredible for Catra to get to touch Adora this way, feel Adora this way, in a way she could have only ever dreamed of. But it was real. Adora was real. Everything was perfect. Adora gradually moved her hand down the back of Catra's head without even consciously thinking about it. Then her fingers brushed against the back of Catra's neck and little sister. Flashes of green, water, crackling electricity, searing, agonizing pain. Horde clones chanting, the gaze of numerous green eyes staring directly into her soul, submitting to Horde Prime's will against her own, completely unable to fight back, unable to resist. His vessel, his puppet. Cast out the shadows, cast out the shadows, cast out the shadows, cast out the shadows. All beings must suffer to become pure. 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 No! Catra screeched at the top of her lungs while thrashing around, trying to free herself from Adora's arms. No! Get away from me! Adora yelped as Katja shoved her and accidentally kicked her in the stomach before frantically backing away, looking like a frightened animal. Adora stared at Katja, both confused and extremely worried. No, no, stay away! Katja screamed at nothing in particular, holding her head. She had broken out in cold sweat with her heart beating so fast as if it was trying to rip its way out of her chest, and she felt nauseous. Her entire body was trembling. Her pupils had narrowed to vertical lines. Her tail had completely puffed up, and every one of her hairs was standing on end. Please, no, I don't want this. I don't. Please, stop. Katra. Adora approached Katra very slowly and cautiously, doing her best to avoid startling Katra any further. She carefully reached her arm out and whispered, Katra, it's going to be okay. It's. Katra gasped, clutching her throat. She felt a sharp pain in her chest and was struggling to breathe, like she was being smothered by something. Katra! Adora cried, concerned for her girlfriend's safety. Katra, what's wrong? Uh, Adora. Katra managed to get out. Adora, I can't breathe. No, Adora mumbled, tearing up. Seeing Katra in this state was breaking her heart. However, soon afterwards, Adora shook her head and steadied her nerves. Katra needed her right now. She had to be strong. Katra. Adora looked at Katra firmly in the eye. Look at me. You're going to be okay. I promise. I'm here with you. Uh, Adora. Katra was still struggling to breathe, but she did her best to give Adora a nod. You're safe, Adora stated, very gently grabbing hold of Katra's hand. This will be over soon, okay? Hey. She raised her free hand and lifted two of her fingers up. How many fingers do you see? Two? Katra murmured, swallowing. Good. Keep your focus on him, okay? Adora gave Katra a comforting smile before slowly raising her hand toward the sky with Katra's gaze following her fingers. What do you see in the sky? Stars? Very good, Adora nodded. She then held Katra's wrist softly but firmly, guiding Katra's hand toward the ground until it was touching grass beneath them. Now, tell me what you feel. That's grass, Katra said. Her breathing was still frantic, but she was slowly starting to calm down thanks to Adora keeping her grounded in the present. That's right, Adora whispered. You're here, Katra. There are stars in the sky. There's grass under your feet. You're in bright moon. You're safe. Everything's gonna be okay. Adora, take a deep breath. You can do it, Adora instructed Katra. Just repeat after me and keep it held till I've counted to 5, okay? I, I'll try. Katra nodded before she and Adora both inhaled deep. Adora counted down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Adora and Katra both exhaled slowly, and Adora counted to 5 before they would breathe in deep again. The two of them repeated these breathing exercises for a while until finally Katra's breathing was getting more stable even if her heart was still pounding incredibly fast. It's okay. You're okay, Adora reassured her. You're here, Katra. This is almost over now. This is only temporary. Thank you, Katra managed to say, trying her best to focus on her senses and the things around her. Staying in the present, Adora again squeezed her hand. Do you need anything? Adora asked quietly. Katra remained silent for a second, before gesturing for Adora to come closer. Adora leaned in, and Katra whispered into her ear, Stay. I will, Adora nodded. I'm here with you, Katra. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. Soon enough, Katra was finally regaining control of herself. Her breathing and heartbeat had stabilized, the pain in her chest was gone, and she wasn't trembling anymore. However, she felt incredibly disgusted and ashamed of herself for breaking down the way she had. She felt dirty, unclean. How are you feeling? Adora carefully placed her hand on Katra's shoulder. But better, I guess. Katra mumbled, staring at her feet. She begrudgingly added, Thanks. Don't mention it, Adora smiled, placing a soft kiss on Katra's forehead and stroking her hair. Adora and Katra sat in silence for a while, Adora staying by Katra's side and doing her best to soothe her while Katra was stewing in her own self-loathing and shame. Katra chuckled all of a sudden. Soon it erupted into a hollow, pained cackle, completely devoid of any joy, which greatly unnerved Adora. Uh, what's so funny? Adora wondered cautiously. Pathetic. Katra slapped her own forehead, her voice outwardly sounding very amused. I'm such a wreck, I can't even make out with my own girlfriend without having a breakdown. Katja, I'm a total mess. Katja shook her head, her eyes getting misty. My life is a total mess. I just, I, I, It's okay. Adora hugged Katja tight, stroking her hair but making sure to avoid touching the back of her neck. Katja hugged Adora back and sniffled. We're gonna get through this. Together. Prime. Katja's voice wavered. He might be dead, but in the end, he won. Adora. Huh? Adora gasped. What do you mean? He broke me. Katja sobbed, tears rolling down her cheeks. I'm broken. You aren't broken, Katra. Dora pushed back, trying to comfort Katra to the best of her ability. You you're a survivor. You went through such hell with Prime. Having your free will stripped away like that would have been more than enough to leave a mark on anyone. It's no wonder it's still affecting you so much. But but nobody else who was chipped remembers it. Katra stated as the tears kept flowing. Nobody else is having to deal with panic attacks over it. I remember everything. Everything he did to me, everything he made me do, all of it. Katra closed her eyes and placed her left hand on the back of her neck, feeling sick to her stomach as she thought about the way Horde Prime's will had taken over her own. I I can still feel it, Katra said, her voice filled with fear. I can feel him messing with my head. I can feel him take me over. I can feel him controlling my body, my mind, my soul. I feel tainted, filthy, defiled. I can only imagine, Adora said sadly, letting go of Katra and placing her hands on Katra's shoulders. Prime's gone, Katra. He can't hurt you or anyone else ever again. You're safe now. I I know that, Katja wept, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna be the same again. If I'm ever gonna get through this, what if her voice broke? What if he never leaves me alone? What if he's just gonna be in my head forever? Katra. Adora felt awful seeing Katra like this, seeing the extent of the mental scars that Horde Prime had managed to inflict upon her, especially since she had blamed herself for all of the things that Katra had to go through on his ship. Katra had saved Glimmer from Prime's ship for Adora's sake. She had sacrificed herself and defied Horde Prime just to try and save Adora from him, and she had paid the price for it. Without Adora, Katra would have never gotten chipped. Without Adora, Katra would have never even crossed paths with Horde Prime in the first place. Without Adora, none of this would have happened. Everything that Horde Prime had done to Katra, it was Adora's fault. Adora knew that Katra would vehemently push back if she dared to say it out loud, though. Deep down, Adora knew that she wasn't really to blame for Katra getting chipped, but despite that, she couldn't help but feel guilty about it. But right now, Adora knew that blaming herself for anyone else wasn't going to help Katra. Right now, Katra needed Adora, and Adora was going to do everything she can to be there for her, help her move past her trauma. Katra, Adora held Katra's hand and said softly, It's gonna be okay. You're going through a lot right now, but all the suffering that Prime caused you, it's gonna heal with time. I want to believe that, Katra muttered, wiping the tears from her eyes. But I don't know how long it's gonna take, or how long you can put up with me being like this. Her ears drooped in a defeated manner. I wish I was stronger. You are strong, Katra. Adora asserted. You're the strongest person I know. Having trauma doesn't make you weak, and it also doesn't have to define who you are. She paused for a second, hesitating a little, but eventually deciding to share the only genuinely helpful piece of advice that Shadow Weaver had ever given her. You're greater than your fear, and you're not alone. I'm here. I'm always going to be here, Katra. Always. And I'm going to do everything I can to help you recover. No matter what it takes, I'll never give up on you. Dora, I. Katra whispered, feeling herself tearing back up just out of how much she loved Adora. Loved Adora made her feel. I don't know what I'd do without you. Katja felt so grateful of Adora's willingness to support her, even though she already had so much to deal with as is without needing to worry about Katra. It still amazed her, despite how badly Katra had hurt her in the past, that Adora continued to care so much about her. We're not in any hurry here, Adora smiled. We have her entire lives still ahead of us. We've got all the time in the universe to try out more intimate physical stuff. We'll go at your pace. you're as comfortable as possible first. And I'm gonna do my best to adapt so I can avoid triggering you in the future. Patrick gave Adora a meek nod, glanced aside, and again rubbed the back of her neck. After a while of thinking, she made a choice. Adora, give me your hand. Huh? Adora tilted her head. What are you? Please. Catra did her best to muster up a reassuring smile. Trust me. Oh, okay. Adora complied, offering her right hand to Catra even if she was unsure where Catra was going with this. Catra grabbed Adora's wrist and guided Adora's hand to her left shoulder, then very slowly began inching it forward towards Catra's neck. Catra felt the tips of Adora's fingers gliding against the side of her neck as she guided Adora's hand, and then she felt Adora's fingers move just past her ears and Catra winced, seeing very brief flashes of green for a second before closing her eyes and taking a slow, steady breath. She began purring lightly to calm herself down, and tried to focus on the sensation on her neck. This was Adora's touch, not Prime's. She wasn't chipped. She was safe. Adora made her feel safe. You okay? Adora asked after Catra reopened her eyes, keeping her hand in place with her fingers just shy of the back of Catra's neck. Yeah, Catra murmured. She let go of Adora's wrist and instead placed her left hand over Adora's hand on her neck. Catra gave Adora a pleading look and her voice was a little shaky as she said, That's how far you can go. You sure? Yeah, that feels safe. And the more you do it, the safer it's gonna feel, eventually. Catra. Adora's mouth was slightly agape when she realized what Catra was getting at. She chuckled once, did her best to memorize the part of Catra's neck that she was touching, and whispered lovingly, Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Adora leaned in, sharing a very tender kiss with Catra before moving her hand from Catra's neck to her cheek. Adora rubbed Catra's cheek with her thumb while staring into her eyes. I love you. Love you too, idiot. Adora and Catra stayed like that for a while, before eventually laying down on the grass and getting back to stargazing. With Adora holding Catra in her arms, Adora pointed toward the sky and asked, What's that one look like? Well, Adora and Catra spent the rest of the night in that spot, eventually falling asleep on Bright Moon's terrace underneath the stars. Alright, so that was the end of the fic. It was so cute, and I was only able to record this because Google Videos changed it, and I can now do videos up to half an hour, which is absolutely wonderful. So, anyways, remember to eat, sleep, drink your water, and take your meds. And when you sleep, go to bed at a reasonable time. And you guys can't count on me because it is 4:41 p.m. So not that bad. On a Saturday, I might add. So it's Pi Day. Happy Pi Day, guys. This is not being posted today. This is gonna be posted Monday, March 16th. Um so remember I already said that. Any case. Yeah, any case, remember kids, be do and crime guy.